I'm going on the record here to make this right, to remember, and finally talk to all of you about the 36 Questions, a podcast musical.
Hello and welcome to Innovative Performance 101. It's a placeholder name, please be kind. Today we will be exploring an important actor's toolkit essential, applied research integration. That's theater nerd for background info you may need or just want to know, before you start studying, auditioning, or, rehearsal. Because before this year, we were always in rehearsal for something. Or in this case, a prequel essay about podcasting's place in the arts world. It may get a bit meta in here, but who cares? Because it's quarantine! It's not like time means anything anymore or you have places to be, right? I'm Ashley the Bard, an actor with way too much time on my hands. And no, I will not be babysitting your children for free. You need to pay me. I will, however, use my degree and years of field training to share some of my insights as to what exactly goes into the art of storytelling. As many of you out there, I'm looking at you, family members, who keep telling me to get a real job, even though we're currently in an apocalypse where even normal jobs are scarce, seem to need a peek behind the curtain, or in this case, a brief saunter through theater history. For anyone out there who has not yet been drawn into the deeply fascinating history and richly fertile landscape of storytelling podcasting has to offer, here is a brief overview. The performing arts are always striving to connect with wider audiences through the best available technology. And if it's not invented yet, guess who's most likely going to make it? Us. When we needed to have our voices reach further away than ever before, we built amphitheaters into the sides of mountains and valleys. We also built masks to project the voice further than ever before. When we needed to reach more audience members with morality plays across great distances of land, did we get discouraged because we didn't have carts? No. We built cart stages with simplistically memorable layouts. And in the 1880s, we took the first steps along the podcasting path with the French innovation, theatrophone. If I mispronounced that, anyone, I am sorry. I don't speak French. The theaterphone was the first subscription service that allowed its patrons to listen to live opera and theater over the telephone wires. Kind of like Mystery Date meets Netflix. It was available in portions of Europe and so commercially popular that numerous brands were cropping up everywhere. That is, until the invention of radio broadcasting and the phonograph phased it out in the 30s. Side note, while it did make its way over to America, it was never more than a flash in the pan. You'd get a one-off event here or there, a San Francisco symphony or something or other, but not a dedicated service like in Europe. Thanks to the wireless bringing music and national broadcasts into the home, and the gramophone's cylindrical records making music and spoken word available at the spin of a needle, arts and culture were more available and accessible than ever before. This was a new chapter to communal storytelling. Just like we all used to have water cooler moments with television because TV happened live, people would rush home just to tune in to listen to the big event that was happening on their favorite radio drama that week. They'd write about it with distant family members or chat with their neighbors the next day. Ooh, can you believe what Judith did? Who do you think is the killer? Pretty much that kind of stuff. Personally, I think they definitely had listening parties the way we have watch parties now. Who wouldn't? The oral tradition of storytelling needed a facelift to stay relevant, but instead, a whole new art form was beginning to grow. Before television, before talkies, radio dramas were being made with new tricks all its own. They have their own rules and must harness your full attention and the theater of your imagination to create an immersive experience with only the sound effects they create, strong writing at their disposal, and the use of the human voice. Stories like Orson Welles' War of the Worlds or The Shadow were being written specifically for radio to capture the listener like never before. By the 1950s, television took over the world. Voiceover as a career began to really take off as more cartoons and puppets made their debut on the silver and small screens. Then, in the 1970s, we had comedy shows cropping up on the airwaves, and opera was broadcast on public access television, thanks in large part to the audio blogging phenomenon of the 1980s and the rise of portable music devices like iPods in the early 2000s. Much like the Cambrian explosion, podcasting really took off. Now, it's its own format altogether, with such diverse avenues of entertainment to draw from. We have sci-fi, horror, spoken word poetry, love stories, comedies, just to name a few. The most popular form of storytelling from the 1940s is riding high once more. Yee-haw! But how will we set it apart this time? What new frontiers can this format explore? What classic art form will take up the mantle and become the next astronauts of this innovative performance art? What is the next step of podcasting's evolution? Full-blown podcast musicals. Duh. In a last-ditch attempt to salvage their crumbling marriage, a couple uses the 36 questions, an experiment known for making strangers fall in love, to save their own relationship.
Insane. Yes, confirmed. Yes, confirmed. You hear that? I confirmed it. I'm on the record.
Yeah.
I don't know about no guests, though. We gotta talk about that.
Well, it's on the record.
Doesn't have to be a witness.
Starring Tony-nominated actor Jonathan Groff and Jesse Shelton, 36 Questions is the world's first podcast musical, made for your ears only. The 36 Questions podcast musical is the first podcast musical ever, and a unique piece of musical theater at that. Traditionally, a musical is rehearsed in small cramped rooms for long hours, created for weeks and months, maybe years from scratch, and then put on somewhere for a small audience to bear witness to the first round of performance in all its glory, until it is perfected, or as close to perfect as you can get it, and then it goes up on a stage in New York. The audience is there to experience firsthand all that this one moment in time can express. The energy of the room shifts with every second that passes. The closest to bottling this moment we have in musical theater is the cast album. You can listen to the score and this cast perform this version of the show as often as you want, but most of the time you are missing some piece of the puzzle. Sung reprise, or a scene from the book that didn't make it into the soundtrack. A podcast musical is missing no pieces. It comes to you complete and ready to revisit over and over at the tap of a screen or the push of a button. All these visual jigsaw pieces a staged or filmed musical would present to you, the colors, the sets, the costumes, the props, even what the actors look like, are left to your own imagination, creating a deeper personal connection with the story than ever before. Plus, this is the lowest price point possible in terms of accessibility to high culture. Take the theater of your mind on a joyride with nothing but your Wi-Fi connection and your earballs. The new musical was written, composed, and directed by Ellen Winter and Chris Littler in 2017. It took the Brooklyn-based writing duo 19 months of solid writing and editing. The two frequently collaborate. In fact, their band Chamber Band, an art/nerd rock sensation, wrote 3 albums in 4 years, so their speed does no harm to their quality. Chamber Band is currently on indefinite hiatus to write new material, but you can check out their albums in the meantime, or you can currently check out Ellen Winter's debut album, All the Feelings I've Ever Felt, and cry and laugh and cry and laugh and, just send her love, because that album is fire. It's so good, Ellen. The musical was produced by Zach Ackers and Skip Bronke, another Brooklyn-based duo. Two Up Productions approaches podcast creation with the same values they would approach film production, hence the quality storytelling of all their podcasts. One of which has made the jump from your earbuds to your TV screens. If you would like to show your support for this amazing musical and the team behind it, buy their merch or snag a copy of the book and score for your rep books. There are no official instrumental tracks available as of yet, so if you are looking for backing tracks to sing with, you will need that sheet music to get them made yourself. We will be discussing the show itself in our next video. That gives you plenty of time to pop over to Spotify or their website to listen to this beautiful things. So fly, my fellow artists, to embrace this show in all its audible golden glory. Tune in to our next video as we discuss the show itself, or subscribe below and get reminders to catch up on the latest videos. Until then, this has been Ashley the Bard. What other podcast musicals have you added to your listening library while in lockdown? Share your finds in the comments below. Helpful tip number 1. Remember, update your rep books as often as possible with the best pieces that show off your range.